Deep in the southeastern hills of modern-day Zimbabwe, shrouded by time and terrain, sits an architectural marvel that defied the narrative of an entire continent. Massive sweeping walls of granite, rising over 25 feet high and running hundreds of feet long, curve through the landscape. They were built without a single drop of mortar, engineered with such astonishing precision that centuries of harsh weather have not brought them down. This is Great Zimbabwe, a medieval metropolis, a seat of kings, and a global trading hub that flourished while Europe was still clawing its way out of the Dark Ages. For centuries, colonial explorers and historians looked upon these ruins and made a staggering claim. Black Africans could not have built this. They attributed the city to wandering Greeks, to Egyptians, to Arabs, and even to the biblical Queen of Sheba. They fabricated elaborate myths to deny the truth standing right in front of them. But the stones of Great Zimbabwe hold the true story. And today, we are going to uncover the forgotten empire that built the greatest stone city in sub-Saharan Africa. Welcome to African Relics. To understand Great Zimbabwe, we have to go back to the 11th century. During the late Iron Age, ancestors of the modern Shona people began to settle this fertile plateau. The environment was perfect. The climate was cool and free from the diseases that plagued the lowlands. The soil was rich for agriculture, and the surrounding hills were abundant with gold. By the 13th century, this small settlement had erupted into a booming metropolis. At its peak, Great Zimbabwe was home to an estimated 18,000 to 20,000 people. To put that into perspective, it was the same size as London during that exact same period. The city was not just a collection of homes. It was a highly organized, engineered capital, divided into three distinct architectural zones: the hill complex, the valley ruins, and the crown jewel, the Great Enclosure. Looming over the city is the hill complex. Sitting on a massive granite outcropping, it is the oldest section of the city. Archaeological evidence suggests this was the spiritual and religious center of the empire. From this high vantage point, the king could look down upon his entire domain, a physical representation of his absolute power over the land. Spreading out below the hill is the Great Enclosure. This is the structure that leaves modern engineers in awe. It is a massive elliptical wall, nearly 800 feet in circumference, protecting a towering solid stone conical tower. Inside these walls lived the royal family and the kingdom's elite. It was a fortress of extreme wealth and prestige, built not for military defense, but as a monumental display of power. Surrounding the royals were the valley ruins, a sprawling urban sprawl of over 1,700 acres. Here, the everyday citizens lived in large, tightly packed homes made of traditional mud, brick, and thatch. But these citizens were far from isolated farmers. They were the engine of a global economic superpower. Great Zimbabwe was the beating heart of a vast international trade network. The wealth of the empire was built on two things: enormous herds of cattle and the control of gold. The Shona mined gold from the surrounding hills and transported it eastward to the Swahili Coast. From there, it flowed into the global market. The sheer volume of wealth flowing back into Great Zimbabwe was staggering. When archaeologists finally excavated the site, they didn't just find local artifacts. They uncovered thousands of glass beads from India, intricately painted ceramics from Persia, and fine Ming Dynasty porcelain from China. A citizen walking through the markets of Great Zimbabwe in the 14th century was wearing fabrics and handling goods brought across the Indian Ocean, connecting this inland African kingdom to to the farthest reaches of the known world. In 1531, Portuguese traders stationed on the coast began hearing whispers from locals of a massive wealthy fortress inland called Zimbabwe, a Shona word meaning great houses of stone. But the location remained a mystery to the outside world until a hunter stumbled upon the ruins in 1867. What followed was one of the greatest tragedies in archaeological history. European treasure hunters descended on the site, systematically looting the ruins and destroying vital historical context. Worse than the physical theft was the theft of the legacy. The colonizers who occupied the region refused to believe that the indigenous ancestors of the people they were subjugating were capable of such sophisticated engineering. The official colonial government sponsored pseudo-science to prove that a lost white civilization must have built it. But the truth could not stay buried. Modern radiocarbon dating and rigorous archaeology definitively proved what the Shona oral traditions had said all along. Great Zimbabwe was an indigenous African masterpiece. Perhaps the most famous artifacts to survive the looting were 8 beautifully carved soapstone birds. These intricate relics, representing the protective spirits of the Shona kings, have outlasted the colonizers who tried to erase them. Today, the Zimbabwe bird sits proudly on the flag of the modern nation that took its very name from these great houses of stone. The empire of Great Zimbabwe eventually declined in the 15th century, likely due to a shifting climate and exhausted resources, prompting its people to migrate north and found new kingdoms. But the walls remain. They stand today as a silent, unyielding testament to the brilliance, wealth, and power of a lost African civilization. Thank you for watching. If you want to uncover more lost history, make sure to like this video, subscribe to African Relics, and join us next time as we dig deeper into the forgotten empires of the past.